Good afternoon, ladies. It's Sharon Rooker and Kathy Hewitt. She's on her third, but maybe not final episode of the wood burning. We may go one more week. She'll let me know during this segment here, and that way I can let Nancy know and possibly they can get something out in it, okay? So take it away, Kathy.
Well, good evening, Royals. Okay, what I'm going to explain tonight is a couple of mistakes that everybody makes. Okay, so if you want to write it down, you can do that. But I have my mask and the fans going. However, for me to show you what I'm trying to explain on the mistakes, I'm not going to use the mask because I'm not going to be burning tonight. I'm just going to be making little scoop lines. And so the first thing, okay, this is my burner. Okay, the first thing is starting out with your heat. Okay, if you start out with maximum heat, it's going to burn quickly and it's going to mar your wood. And what I mean by marring your wood is I actually did a piece, I don't know if you can see it, a small piece where it marred my wood. I'll go ahead and do another piece just to show you, and I'm going to put it on level 2, and that says that it's a low heat, but we'll see. Okay, we will just check and see how this. Okay, that doesn't look too bad, but no, I put it up a little bit higher. You could see where it marred the wood, and you might have seen smoke coming out. That's too high of heat on the wood. And that's what it means by marring the wood. You can see also that it actually had little holes like dots, and that's where the wood was not actually smooth enough to get the heat. You can see there uh, that is way too high. So that's why you always want to have an extra piece of wood that you have sanded down, and that is your practice piece. You will always need a practice piece no matter what you're going to be doing. So the first thing is that is too high of a heat. So we want to turn it down. Okay, so we're going to turn it down. Now, if we turn it down too much, you could probably see where I made real faint lines. That is very, very light. You don't want that, because the lighter the heat is, the lower the heat is, and the lighter the wood is, the mark on the wood, it has to do with your hand movement. Now you see where I was at I actually did the same heating, but when I moved my hand along, I pressed into the wood. So that made it a little bit darker. You got to remember too that your hand has 99% control over the way that you're going to burn. Okay, so when you do your heat, I'm going to turn it down a little bit. Your heat and your hand actually moves together. And when I say together, this is very light. We call it like it's dancing. Your hand in your wood. This is also still too light. And I'm even going pushing into the wood. Here we go. Now it's getting a little bit darker. And I had this on the same setting all the way along. I'm going to turn my nib over and see. You can see that it doesn't do any difference. Okay. Now, when you press too hard, it creates a thick, uncontrollable lines, and they spread. They spread. You could see where it has actually, all of these lines where it's very dark, they actually spread and made a hole in the wood. You don't want a hole in the wood. You want your lines to be smooth and consistent. Okay. Now remember that I always said that wood, the type of wood that you use determines a lot of things. Okay. I always use basswood. Again, because basswood is the easiest wood to work with. It's the softest and it's easy to draw on. It's easy to sand and to make your patterns on. Okay. Now, moving with the speed, okay? Moving at your wrong speed is going to give visible marks. And again, when I say visible marks, I'm using these marks on here. You can see where I actually moved too fast. Whoops, I actually bent a nib. When that happens, when your nib bends like that, that means that you need new nibs. Okay. I've had these probably for about 5 years. Okay. And you can see where that actually where it's marred the wood, it's spread out. That is from, again, being too much heat and pressing too hard. Okay. So that makes a lot of difference how you set your heat at. Okay. Now the next thing is, now keep in mind that you always need to clean your nibs, okay? But you need to clean those after you take them out and you're done with them for the day. So that's another thing, okay? Now, working in poor condition. I'm looking up at Sharon's lights. Okay.
Sorry.
Okay. You need a lot of space. We got a lot of workspace here. Okay. You need proper ventilation. Okay. Fans going. Okay. You got the mask. Okay.
Oh, let's say hi to Nancy and Karen Neville. They're watching.
Well,
hi, Karen.
Hello. Okay. And also, you got to remember too that when you don't clean your nib, you actually get a sticky buildup, and that will transfer onto your wood, and it will flake onto your wood, and it will leave burn spots. So it's very important that you clean these nibs. Okay. Now, you got to remember, you're not perfect. Nobody's perfect at doing this, no matter how long you've been doing it. Okay. Expecting perfect is not, this is not for you. You can't, you're always going to be learning something new, and so you can't expect to be perfect at it. Okay. Make sure it's very important that you take breaks. Okay, because your hand is going to get fatigued from using your wood burner. And no matter, if you try to do it for 45 minutes, if you see that you're starting to mess up, take a break. Okay? If you see that your fingers are getting too close down, and you're supposed to hold this like a pencil down to the sides here in front, and you could feel the heat coming up, that means you need to take a break because your tool is heating up too fast or too long. And that doesn't mean that there's something wrong with your tool. It just means that you've been using it too long. And that break is very important. Okay. And remember that whatever you do with wood burning, you're supposed to enjoy it. Wood burning is supposed to be relaxing. It's supposed to be something that you thought of really in advance. You could sit down and say, "Oh, I'm gonna make a box." Okay, you could wood burn a box, but you got to remember how deep do you want the box? How big do you want the box? What are you going to shade it? Are you just going to outline it? Which way are you going to shade it? Are you going to shade it from left to right, right to left? That makes a difference. Up to down. And you got to remember, you got to change your nib, because you do have shading nibs. And when we get into the nibs, okay, here I'll show you some nibs. When I'm talking about shading, believe it or not, shading is not what you might think it to be. You actually shade with these types. That is a shading tool. This is a different type of shading tool. You can see that it's bigger on the end than the first one that Sharon showed you, because it depends on how you want your shading to be. Now here's an interesting one.
Smaller, smaller, larger.
Here's another shader. Now that shader will draw lines, and as you bring in the shader down, as you're bringing it down on your wood, in your, let me make sure this is, okay, that's turned off, okay. Let me change my nib so I can show you how this particular shader works. And I use this one a lot because it does give you a lot of coverage. As you notice, my burner's off. That's why I'm able to hold everything like I am. As you're doing your shading, the shading is actually coming from at the top here of the tool, of the nib. And as you shade it down, that line, the bar that goes across at the top, that is actually what is going to shade your project. If you don't put it down then all you're going to do is have lines, just lines, because you're not holding it correctly and you're not putting the pressure on like you need to have the shading. Okay. And how are you going to shade it? You got to figure out, shading is very intricate detail. It takes a lot to shade. Whereas we have another tool here. It's called the writing tool. And as you probably know, yep, it does have little balls on it. And let me see if I can find it in here. Oh, it's in here. Okay. Yeah, this is a writing tool. You can see the little ball on there. It's on the very top. That's what you would actually use to make a little, you could use that to make a little circle. That's what we're going to use when we do the bunny's eye, the pupil in the eye. We're going to use that writing tool because it's going to get right in there, and we're just going to bring this around very lightly. And you have to control it. Otherwise, if you push down, the wood is going to spread. The burn is going to spread on the wood. So we have that type of, here's another one. That is, this one's even smaller. That is smaller. I have probably about 50 different nibs, and they're all from different type of wood burners that actually fit into my wood burner.
Sorry, I had my finger in there.
And talking about shading, this is another shading. It's not a spoon, but it has a tip on it. And this tip, you don't want to put it into your wood because it will go into your wood. You just want to glide it along. But remember, whatever you do, do not press down on your wood, on your tools, because your movement of your hand has a lot to do with how your project is going to come out. Too hard means that the burn is going to spread out, like I showed you on the examples, the woods, and it's going to have holes in it. Too light means, okay, it's too light. You're going to have to put up your heat a little bit more, and just keep on trying to get your wood to where you want it at. Okay, I'm going to.
Okay, we have Betty watching.
Hi,
Betty.
Hey. What I'm going to do is there is a very first thing that they taught us, what I learned, is it's called the scooping. Okay, we're going to scoop. And what that means is I'm going to take one of my, I'll just take one. Okay, I'm going to take one of my nibs, and
we have Kristen Hitchcock watching.
Well, hi, how are you?
That's Sharon Hitchcock's daughter.
Yeah. I am going to do a scoop. And this is something I always do before when I turn on my wood burner, and I try to get my heat. Okay, so I got my burner on, and I'm gonna scoop. See where my heat is high on one side, low on the other, because of the wood. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn it up a little bit.
You want me to hold the board?
Yeah, and you can actually, I don't know, you probably can't see. Can you see
I
them?
can see the glow of the red, the reddish orange, the heat. Yes.
Okay, that's why you need a mask. Okay, and you can see I left my tool on my nib on there too long. It's too high of heat, and I pressed too hard. So you want to turn it down. You need to turn it down. So I turned it down, and this takes 3 to 4 seconds to change. Okay. Now that's a little bit better. If you can see where I did it. I just did a scoop. It's just a scoop. You just go from left to right, or if you're left-handed, right to left, and you're trying to make like a little U. And that's what they call a scoop. And that you can do that for all of your burners, all of your nibs. You can try doing the scoop. So that is what I have tonight. If you bought the book, you'll understand what I am trying to say.
Rhonda's watching.
Hi, Rhonda.
Hi, Rhonda.
Okay. So that is what I have for tonight.
So we're going to do one more episode or two?
We'll do one episode where we're going to actually just outline I'm going to outline the bunny.
Okay. What about doing a shading on the next episode?
Okay. I'm not very good at shading, but yeah, we can do it.
Okay. What I'm going to do is I'm going to get a hold of Nancy, and I'm going to see the next two, which I can't look on my phone to see if I have anything scheduled. So this is the 19th. Okay, the 26th. I have something scheduled.
Don't we have Tom's chili?
Oh, that's in September. I don't know. Is it in your phone?
Yeah, it would be in my phone.
Okay, let me see. No, I'll be right back.
Oh, you got your calendar?
Keep talking to him, Kathy.
Yeah, as you can tell, I do have a lot of nibs. So you get a variety of how you're going to work with how you're going to wood burn something. It does, you get a lot of variety.
Okay. I have the mini appetizers on the 26th.
Okay.
Let me see. Uh-oh. Somebody's on the phone.
Yeah.
Tom has to leave the room. Okay, we're still in August. Yeah, on Wednesday the 26th, I have the mini appetizers. And then the 2nd, I have the packing. Ooh. The 9th, I have dental. I'm going to see if maybe Nancy will let us do a Saturday or a Sunday for the next two.
Yeah.
I can't do the 22nd. Maybe the 23rd would be too early. So I'll get with Nancy and see what she says. And we'll schedule two more to be on the safe side. Okay? Because I think I've got all the Wednesdays.
Everything's probably booked up.
Well, the 9th, September 9th, I have dental, but I don't have to be in, I could be behind the scenes here. I think that's when I get my crown put in. 16th, and then it would be the 30th. We don't want to get into October, so
No.
I'm going to see if we can't do it maybe the 29th of August and maybe September. Well, we could do 29th and 30th, both Saturday and Sunday, Kathy, if you wanted to, back to back.
Yeah.
So I'm going to talk to Nancy and see if she'll let us do August 29th and 30th, and it's back to back, but at least, you know, you're not going to wait so much. So I'll see if that's going to be okay with her, but she'll post it. Okay. Yeah. She will post it.
And even if you didn't get a bunny pattern, you know, you can always get a piece of wood, like what I got here, my practice wood, and you can do practice with your nibs, your different nibs, and practice your speed, your temperature. On getting to know your burner is the main thing, because even though I had mine at low, it actually didn't do anything.
Marianne is watching.
Hi, Marianne.
I don't know how to pronounce her last name. Sorry, Marianne. Karen Adson, I do believe, because I'm looking on my phone. It's not coming up on Kathy's yet.
Oh.
So I'm trying to look on my phone. And Atson, yes. Karen Atson is watching. Hello, Karen.
Hi, Karen. How are you guys doing tonight?
So yeah, we're gonna do 2 more episodes. We're gonna try to do them back to back.
Yeah.
And then that way, you guys can get the feel of everything.
Yeah, and like I said, you don't have to have a pattern. Just get a piece of wood and make sure you sand it down, because that's going to make a difference in the world how your burning's going to look. So
Yvonne's watching. Hello, Yvonne.
Hi, Yvonne. And don't forget, you can always get a beginner's thing at Walmart, Hobby Lobby. But I started out with this one. They no longer sell this one. But this, I've had it for a long time, and that's what I start out with, and that's what I've been using, because I know the ins and outs of this particular Burn Master, is what it's called. So anyway, we will check with Nancy and see what's going on, and hopefully we can get back on. And I hope you learned something tonight. If you have any questions, you're more than welcome to call Sharon. Sharon, you can relay the question to me, or if you want to call me or text me, you know where to find me. Okay? Well, thank you very much for coming in, jumping in, and seeing me. Till later. Good night, Royals.
Bye, Royals.